Introducing Patricia from Cafe Abundance, who I've had the pleasure of working with here in Cornwall. She's helped me at a couple of our community events and is the brains behind a magical community interest company called Cafe Abundance, which is all about rescuing food from landfill. But I will let Patricia tell you much more on that.
Thank you. Good evening from Cornwall as well. Can everyone hear me all right? Yeah, great. Nodding is good. Great. So I'm Patricia. I'm based in Millbrook on the Rhine Peninsula. It's just south of Plymouth. And I feel really honoured to have been invited tonight. So I'm so thrilled to be meeting you all like this and hopefully connecting with lots of you from now on. I'm here to share insights into how Cafe Abundance has been run since it started 8 years ago by a wonderful visionary lady called Gemma Morgan, more on her later, and how I guided the original idea into something that's now owned by our local community. Cafe Abundance started 8 years ago by Gemma, who was really was getting heartbroken / angry with the food waste, the volume of food waste happening in this country. So she poured her heart and soul and started this community interest company. And the idea was, and always has been, to rescue food. So picking up from shops, receiving receiving food from people who, for one reason or another, would not have used what's in their larder, what's in their freezers, and then either making it available to our community. So we hold shop tables and where we just put food on the table on set days and people come and help themselves. And we also transform some of those ingredients into nutritious hot meals for our community. All of what we do is on a pay-as-you-can basis. So that makes sure that anyone, whatever the state of their pockets, can get a hot meal and can sit and share food in our village and beyond. Gemma ran this pretty much on her own. So she gave everything that she had and then some. She had some help, but it was just every now and again. It was her all the way. So for the first 6 years, it was essentially her pulling this this project and this idea. She ran out of steam, understandably, and she was ready to close this venture. A couple of friends heard of it, of that possibility, and said, "Oh, we'll help out. We'll run it for you." So she stepped down. They ran it. Their cooking's amazing, but everything else left to be desired. And within months, Cafe Abundance ran into financial trouble. It had become very cliquey. It was ignoring certain requests, certain suggestions, and it was focusing on what they felt they needed to do. So it was becoming quite closed. I'd been a volunteer. I'd been picking up food. I'd been delivering meals during the pandemic for them. I've been doing that for over 5 years. So I could see that it was starting to collapse. And I just stepped in and did whatever I could. That was last spring. And since then, I've been running Cafe Abundance. So what I'll focus, I wanted to set the scene and so you understood the context. So the focus of this sharing tonight is to explain that the original idea, which is rescuing food and feeding, nourishing our community, that still stands. Now, the idea I had and the idea that has flourished, because even though I started it, it only works because lots of people are now diving into it and making it their own. So my initial idea was, this is something that's amazing and it needs to be open to whoever wants to be part of the story. And so I found different ways of reaching out to our community, saying basically we need volunteers. And I did it in different ways. And what's really spoke to people is a list of different areas that they could be involved in, and they could do as little or as much as possible. So fast forward 4 or 5 months, and I'm starting to see that there's lots of different people who come in, different ages. Now our team, we've got 25 volunteers now, and they range from age 11 to 83 years old. And it's so diverse, and it's people who may not want to socialize with one another initially. There's so many different walks of life, opinions, personalities, and that's what I'm most proud of, because the one theme, the one thing in common that we all have is we want to do something to give back to our community, and we really love food, and that's it. Like that food is quite a safe topic. So that's the connector. So what, like from my experience, what worked in developing a diverse team of volunteers, I responded to each individual, and I got to know them and got to see what they would like to do. And then I gave them, I suppose the word is empower, like I empowered them. So some of the older generation, not all, but some of them, and I have one person in mind, the 83-year-old Jem, she kept checking in with me saying, oh, I'm thinking of doing that. Is that okay? Oh, why don't we do this? And my style is, you feel that it's a good idea, do it, and like be the face of Cafe Abundance and do what feels right for you. And that has worked across the board. So empowering whatever, like whatever the age and the personality of the volunteer, for them to feel that they are the face of Cafe Abundance. Like they can decide. I mean, of course, there's some non-negotiables, and I've listed here. So things related to hygiene, to safety, to looking after themselves. Some people want to give, but I can feel that they're in dire need of like more sleep, or they haven't drunk for hours. So I get to be a mum sometimes. Like, have you drunk enough water? Or so they need to look after themselves. Like that's non-negotiable for me. And kindness, but that I've lost. No, I was quite relieved to see 2 volunteers so step away from our gang. The door will always be open to them, but they came from a place of such anger, and they weren't being kind to themselves or to others. And so it's okay for them to step away. Like I didn't lose much sleep over that, but the door is still open. So those are the non-negotiables. What I found helpful, and what I learned sometimes the hard way, is to be seeking a balance. So a balance between empowering my team and encouraging initiative, and at the same time developing a structure so that there is a coherent, there's a certain approach that we have in terms of, well, in different areas of what we do. But so it's this balance between empowerment and a structured approach, a standardized structure approach. I also found that organizing socials, really simple socials, and team meetings, so we alternate, like 1 month it's a social, and the next month it's a team meeting. And before the team meeting, to make sure everyone is on time, I say, right, we get together at 6 o'clock for a drink, and then at 6:30 we start sharp. And that works, because people who run late turn up by 6:30. So, and they just miss a drink, and they try not to do that next time. And I've also found what's been really helpful as well is being open, not just me, like the whole team. By the way, we're all volunteers, including me, the whole team, to be open to how different individuals and organizations and businesses want to support us. So sometimes I've been in situations where I receive an email or a messenger and I go, whoa, that sounds great, but I don't know if I have the time for that. But I reply, and I'm always really glad that I do. More on that later, because there's been a couple of collaborations, and you can ask me about them if you're interested. As a conclusion, the results, so there's a varied pool of volunteers and they're all around the same table. That's the image I have. And they look out for one another, and I'm so very proud of that. Now, because there's so many of us, we can offer more. So whereas before we were cooking for our community once a month and we held a shop table once a week, now we hold 4 shop tables, including in the evenings when people who work full-time can actually benefit from us. We cook 2 weekly community lunches. And sometimes people come and they're not hungry and they give us a tenner and go, you go, like, I love what you do. That's the only thing I can do. I can give you some money, which is amazing. We're getting so much support. Some businesses who I felt quite dismissed initially, like they went, oh, like, you're scroungers, you just pick up freebies, and why do you need money? Because what you pick up is free. Like, that's what some people had in mind. Now they really get where we're coming from and what we're doing. And then the last result I have on my list, this Gemma that I talked about, so the founder, she's now one of our directors. So after really like not wanting to have anything to do with this, her situation's changed. And whereas she really didn't feel attracted during the transition, I suppose, now she's really, she feels irresistibly attracted again. So I've invited her as a director, and now she can do, she's the only director we have that I've not asked anything of. I said to her, you just do whatever you want and whenever you want, and you'll always be part of like the heart of Cafe Abundance. So in a nutshell, we've kept the same heart, we've opened it up, and we're able to do more. That's it.